the TFNG coming to you with a special live stream video. And tonight I present to you my entry for the Transformers Restart Challenge created by fellow YouTuber and friend of the channel Ninjabill1000. So basically this challenge is you basically go back and you redo your first ever video review of a Transformers toy and you compare it with the original review that you did some time ago. So my first ever video review was of a custom Transformers toy that I did, and I had seen a handful of people do it. They created this custom, but nobody was uploading a video about it on YouTube, and so when I created my YouTube channel, I actually created it for the purpose of doing the first ever video review of this custom Transformers toy that, from what I've seen, quite a few Transformers fans wanted to see become reality. See who's logging on to the live stream chat right now. Autocorrect Primer, hello. Ninjabill1000, glad you're here. Alright. So here's my entry for the Restart Challenge. It is my video review of my custom Transformers Generations Fall of Cybertron Voyager class Twincast. So basically, back in December of 2012, Hasbro decided to unleash a excuse me, please. He's a Voyager class toy of Soundwave in the Generations line based on his appearance in the Fall of Cybertron video game. And the mold ended up being used 3 times. It was used first on Soundwave, then it was used on Soundwave's upgraded Persona Sound Blaster, and I'll explain that in just a moment. And it was used a 3rd time on Soundwave's rival, Autobot Blaster. And so a lot of Transformers fans wondered why in the world both Hasbro and Takara Tomy decided not to use the mold a 4th time to create Blaster's upgraded alter ego Twincast. So to explain who Twincast is for those of you who are familiar with Autobot Blaster, and I actually did a figure spotlight video of Blaster some time back. Basically, in the extended Japanese Transformers cartoon series titled The Headmasters, Blaster and Soundwave, they basically had a battle that was almost like a duel to the death, and it ended in a draw. Both of them destroyed each other. And so the Decepticons decided to revive Soundwave. They restored his body, and they gave him a new paint job, and with the new paint job, Soundwave decided to take on a new name for himself, and he was given the name Sound Blaster. Now in Japan, Blaster, Autobot Blaster, in Japan, he had the name of Broadcast. So when the Autobots brought him back online, he decided to change his name along with his newly restored body and his new paint job. He changed his name from Broadcast to Twincast. So for those of you out there wondering, why is it Soundwave, he and his updated alter ego, Sound Blaster, why do their names sound almost the same when Blaster and his updated alter ego, Twincast, their names sound completely different? That's because in Japan, the name change wasn't too much of a difference. So basically, right when he came back online, Twincast, he bragged to the Autobots that he not only felt alive again, but he felt like he had the twin broadcasting powers compared to what he was before, so that was the reason for his name change to Twincast. See what you guys have been saying in the live stream chat, see if anyone else is logged on. Ninja1000. He's still here. Autocorrect Primer, you're still here. Here, so. Alrighty, so moving on. So here is Twincast in his vehicle mode. And basically what I did is I bought duplicate copies of Fall of Cybertron, Soundwave and Blaster, and I part swapped the parts that I thought were necessary to make Twincast. The other parts ended up being a Optimus Prime looking Soundwave, but I botched up the robot mode chest, so it actually doesn't. The leftover parts didn't come out looking too great. But Twincast turned out alright. My only gripe is that since my painting skills, I didn't want to put it too far on since this toy was mainly created from part swapping, so. But if Twincast was to look completely G1 accurate, all the beige parts on the back of him would be white, and all the black parts on him, such as these exhaust vents on the back of his vehicle mode, which end up being his robot mode ankles, and also his laser gun, they would be red instead of black. But he still rolls well, and unfortunately, I don't know if that's because it's Blaster's wheels on Soundwave's axles. It isn't on the back wheels, but it is on the front. But for some reason, this one wheel here on the back It's the right-hand side of the vehicle. It really squeaks. Now, if you look closely on the hubcaps of the wheels of this toy, the Autobot logo is actually on there. So that's really great. A Twincast, he has blasters, chest plate, and so that's the only Autobot logo found on it. And unfortunately, it's a white Autobot logo on a yellow background, so it's really hard to see, especially on camera. So the vehicle mode itself is a Cybertronian, a car or van, however you want to look at it. It doesn't look like any vehicle you'd see on Earth. And for those of you who have seen photos of the FoC Cybertron Soundwave toy or any of the mold mates, some of you might have been wondering, why in the world is there a chair on top of the roof of the vehicle? It turns out that chair is actually for the little human figurines that came with Takara Tomi's Diaclone robot toys that Hasbro turned into the Transformers characters back in 1984. So if you had... Now bear in mind, those Diaclone robot toys were created and released in 1983 and 1984, and this toy mold was created for the first time in 2012. So basically, if you had those 28-year-old little human figurines lying around, then you can put one of them here in the chair of FoC Cybertron Soundwave and subsequent repaints and retools. So I found that interesting, why there's a chair molded on the roof of this vehicle mode. So apart from rolling around really well, since this vehicle mode, it's based on the FoC Cybertron video game, there's not much else to go over about it. So before we transform Twincast into his robot mode, I will first transform him into my version of the fan mode that was created for FoC Cybertron Soundwave. Now officially this toy is not a triple changer, but in the actual War for Cybertron and Fall of Cybertron video games, Soundwave was shown being capable of transforming into a Cybertronian-type boombox that was somewhat reminiscent of the alt mode he had during the Generation 1 toy line. Now, I've seen some people do the boombox in different setups, hit up some alternate transformations, but more or less, what I'm about to show you is my rendition of the boombox mode. So here it is. There's not much to the boombox mode, even less so than the official vehicle mode of the Cybertronian truck. The wheels act as faux loudspeakers, and of course, if you look closely right there, that silver bar underneath the yellow chest, the way it's molded, it's to be somewhat reminiscent of the push, play, rewind, and fast forward buttons from G1 Soundwave, and so that was carried out. And surprisingly, that isn't actually found on the Soundwave use of the mold, only on Blaster, so that is pretty great. And in the boombox mode, it is kind of unstable, so that's why I keep the back roof section with the laser gun on the back to have it as a support, or it just keeps it standing up. So, unofficially, this toy is a triple changer thanks to avid Transformers fans who insist that every toy of Soundwave have a boombox for an alt mode, even though on the Generation 1 Soundwave toy, his alt mode wasn't a boombox, it was actually a cassette player. But let's face it, who these days under the age of 10 or 15 is going to have any idea what a cassette tape player is? See if anyone else is on the live stream chat. Transformers Fanboy 14. Hello. Who do you Transformers Films, greetings. Anyone else logged on? Not yet. Let's see. Transformers Fanboy 14, he says this toy mold is very playable. The Transformers Film stop motion, he said, as the second Megatron is great. I have the Battle Damage one. Ninja1000 Studio Series. He's not. So you guys are getting to a discussion with that. Now I apologize for not bringing them out when I had Twincast transformed into his official alt mode of the Cybertronian truck, but for a size comparison with some more recently released Transformers toys, here is Twincast next to Siege Sideswipe. So in the boombox mode, it does make Twincast look slightly bulkier than he actually is, but there he is compared to Sideswipe. For another comparison with a toy from the Siege line, I will bring out the toy that is everyone's favorite toy in the Siege line. This is the toy everyone is griping over and getting into fights over obtaining no matter the cost. Here's Twincast next to Chromia. So if you didn't figure that out, that was sarcasm I was going on a moment ago. Some people have said Chromia is their least favorite toy of the Siege line. For me, it's one of the Battle Masters. Oh, no, I'm sorry, one of the Micro Masters. And just for a size comparison with a recently released Voyager class toy, here is Twincast next to the Generation Selects G2 Combat Hero Megatron. And so in the boombox mode, Twincast, he's almost as wide as Megatron is from the tip of his cannon to his back feet. And lengthwise, if you have Twincast in the unofficial boombox mode in the configuration I have, where you leave the back section strutting out and acting as a support beam, they're still roughly the same length from back to front. So, and lifting them up together, they feel roughly the same weight, but Twincast does have some added weight to him, which I will explain in just a moment. So transforming him into his robot mode, it's fairly simple enough. At the time when the Fall of Cybertron toy line was in full swing in 2012 and 2013, the economies of both the United States and Japan were in recession, and so Hasbro and Takara Tomy to keep selling Transformers action figures at prices that kept them in business, and at the same time kept Transformers fans to keep buying them up. Hasbro and Takara Tomy unfortunately started cutting corners, and Transformers toys were given a hollowed out plastic, a lighter plastic, cheaper plastic, and so if anyone wonders why was it around the time frame of the early 20 teens, why was it during those years that Transformers toys felt like they were made out of low quality, you can blame the reality that both the United States and Japan were going through bad economies. So Hasbro and Takara Tomy had to do what they could to work with to keep the Transformers franchise alive during bad economic times. So here's Twincast transformed into his robot mode, adjusting the camera so he's in full frame for all of you. And it's in robot mode that there is one piece of Twincast where I did have to paint him up, and it wasn't just a matter of part swapping. The one part of Twincast that I painted was his head sculpt. So there's a close-up of it. I used blue paint over the red plastic. And for anyone wondering, why did I give Twincast the silver face with the yellow goggles that are the exact same as Blaster? Turns out that's actually accurate to the Generation 1 toy of Twincast. He originally had the same silver face and yellow goggles that Blaster came with, and it was only in the Transformers Headmasters cartoon that his face was made gold and he had a silver visor instead. And so I gave Twincast the G1 toy accurate face sculpt. Now, for those of you wondering, why does Twincast have his backpack strutting out, and you can see his, for lack of grammar, spinal cord sticking out of him? That's because the main gimmick of the Fall of Cybertron Soundwave toy was that the partner robots for Soundwave and Blaster, they transformed into data disks, and they can be stored inside the chests of the robots. I only have two, but I don't do in here, but I had it pulled all the way back out just to see how far I can stretch out, since it can't hold three at once. So let me get these out of here for you. So there is eject. And setting him off to the side. And the next one in other data disk I have in there is the one that was sold with eject. His name is Sunder. He's proven difficult to get out. Setting Twincast off to the side, so they're asunder. Straight up repaint of Follow Cybertron Laserbeak. So when you normally have 3 data disks stored in here, you can shove the thing all the way back in and wait, why isn't it going in? I took them all out. Now, when I transformed this when it was empty, even though it has a Soundwave's launching mechanism and its blasters just on the back, it's silly me, I forgot. So the Follow Cybertron Soundwave toy mold, when it was released, you got one of the data disks with the Voyager class robot as well. And basically, to make Follow Cybertron Soundwave and Blaster, those versions of the G1 cassette bots, as I like to call them, Hasbro and Takara Tomy made the Soundwave's minions / Blaster's partners all data disks. And for Follow Cybertron Soundwave, I have the Voyager class toys. The data discs, you either got one with the Voyager class toy or you got them as 2 packs. So officially there's a total of, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 data discs. 8 that were sold in 2 packs and an additional 3. Oh, I'm sorry, it's 11. I got my math off. Yeah, it's 11, so my math was off. I'm sorry, so you got the data discs either as 2 packs or you got ones that came with the Voyager class toys. Soundwave came with Laserbeak. Soundwave's upgraded alter ego Sound Blaster. He came with Buzzsaw. And Autobot Blaster, he came with Steeljaw as his partner. So I decided when I finished making Twincast, had Hasbro officially released him, Hasbro most likely would have taken the same data disc sold with Blaster, and just like Laserbeak and Buzzsaw were sold with Soundwave and Sound Blaster, Twincast, if he had been given a data disc, it most likely would have been a repaint of Steeljaw. So I went the extra mile, and I gave Twincast, like the other Voyager class toys that he's mold mates with, his own data disc partner. So here he is in all his splendor and glory, and this guy is actually based off an original Generation 1 character who was given a toy in the line. I can't remember if I read on Wikipedia if he actually appeared in the cartoon, the Japanese exclusive series, or not. But here is my custom partner for Follow Cybertron Twincast. It is none other than Autobot Nightstalker. So in the Generation 1 toy line, Hasbro took Steeljaw and repainted him in Ravage's color scheme and made a new character named Autobot Nightstalker. So Nightstalker, he's essentially Fall of Cybertron Ravage. I tried to custom paint the second copy of Steeljaw that I got with the second blaster needed to create Twincast, but unfortunately the black paint I was using, it kept getting absorbed into the yellow plastic, so I just did a part swap like I did with Twincast. I attached Steeljaw's lion's head and also his tail so he'd have the Autobot logo on there to Ravage's body. I did have to do one modification, if you can see right there in those 2 corners. I had to shave away some plastic on those 2 little spots right there and right there, so that Nightstalker's lion's mane would fold down and his head would be looking straight forward, because before I did that, Nightstalker, he'd be looking upward. So I did have to do that one modification, but all in all, Nightstalker came out pretty well. So I said at the beginning of the video that I had 2 surprises in store to show off with Twincast. Nightstalker is one of them, and I have to give a special thank you to Ninjabill1000 for creating the restart challenge as I bump my camera. Let's see, Ninjabill1000, he says, wow, cool custom. Let's see. Transform Sim stop motion, he said, I almost forgot I knew that I saw some guy. I like the new USS Long Haul. So you guys are still in the light. Most of you guys are chit-chatting about the new Studio Series Transformers toys. not to get too off topic, but the Studio Series toy I want to see released is Dark of the Moon Leadfoot. So, getting back focused here on Twincast, so I said there were 2 surprises here, and I have to give a special shout out to Ninjabill1000 because if he hadn't created the Restart Challenge, I wouldn't be able to show off the second surprise I have for Twincast. And in my original review, I forgot to show off this second surprise, though I did mention it in the video. So that's one reason I'm especially glad for this Restart Challenge. The second surprise, it might or might not be as fascinating to you as me showing off that I made my custom Nightstalker data disc. Yes, but the second surprise I have for Twincast is that even though his upper torso and his robot mode arms are from FoC Cybertron Soundwave, I found out something about FoC Cybertron Soundwave that I was amazed to discover here when I got this second copy for Twincast. Now, I don't know how well it's showing you on camera, so I'll bring it up close to you. Hopefully they stay together. If you look right there, Twincast is a different shade of blue than Soundwave. That's right. Even though it's supposed to be the exact same toy, Twincast is a slightly darker shade of blue than my copy of FoC Cybertron Soundwave, so and that's how I bought them. So I actually noticed back in 2013 when everyone was buying up FoC Cybertron Soundwave, there were a handful of copies of FoC Cybertron Soundwave where, due to a manufacturing error, the blue plastic ended up coming out slightly darker than the parts that were made out of blue paint. So for anyone out there who has FoC Cybertron Soundwave and you're wondering if you have the version that ended up being a slightly darker shade of blue than the official version, the trick to finding out if you have one that's slightly darker blue, right here on Soundwave's Robot Mode chest, that's lifting it up for you, the blue on there is actually blue paint. And according to Hasbro's product photos, the blue plastic here on Soundwave's chest and his Robot Mode head is supposed to be the exact shade of blue paint as what's on his chest store. So I can say, after seeing it on several videos of YouTube, there are a handful of copies of Soundwave out there that came out with blue plastic that was slightly a darker shade than officially it was supposed to be. So if you have Soundwave's blue chest store, and you notice that the blue paint on that chest store is lighter than the blue plastic on Soundwave's chest, then you have the rare version of Soundwave that is slightly darker blue. So I'll reconnect to their shoulders just so I can show you off the different blue colors for those of you who don't believe me. Hopefully they stay pegged in together. So bringing it in close up for the first time, trying to get my finger out of the way. So as you can see, their Soundwave is slightly lighter than Twincast. So because I've seen it on multiple copies of Soundwave with video reviews on YouTube, and everyone I saw who got FoC Cybertron Soundwave, since they only got one copy, they didn't get a second one, nobody could really tell the difference unless they were there to look at it. So I can say that unofficially, there are in fact 2 variations of FoC Cybertron Soundwave out there in the world. There's one where the shade of blue on Soundwave, all his parts that are blue plastic and blue paint, it's all the same shade of blue. And there's another version where the parts that are made out of blue plastic are slightly darker than the parts of Soundwave that are made with blue paint. And so I was really amazed to find out that out of all the copies of Soundwave out there in the world, the second one I got to make Twincast, it ended up being a different shade of blue than Soundwave. So Twincast looks more different than Soundwave in more ways than he does. Let's see. Let's see, Ninja1000, he says, I did not know that they were different colors. Yep. That was my jaw dropped when I put Twincast next up to Soundwave to see if they were the exact same shade of blue, and I was amazed to see that they were not. So now that I have Soundwave out here, Here, for some size comparisons in robot mode, here's Twincast next to Soundwave. And let's just bring out all of his mold mates. Here he is next to his rival Soundwave's updated alter ego of Sound Blaster. Bringing Nightstalker here to the forefront and zooming the camera back a bit. Here he is, Twincast next to Autobot Blaster. So you can see all four uses of the mold standing side by side with each other. Move these guys forward a bit. And for Nightstalker, here he is next to Ravage and Steeljaw. See if I can get them all on camera for you. There's Laserbeak. There's Buzzsaw. There's Rumble, and in the Fall of Cybertron toy line, Rumble was blue and Frenzy was red. And hopefully they stand up for me. There's Ratbat. There's Sunder. Rhinox, who's the only Autobot data disc. That's a new mold and not a repaint of one used for the Decepticons. And last but not least, here is Rewind. So there is the Fall of Cybertron versions of the Generation 1 cassette bots. You have Soundwave, Sound Blaster, Autobot Blaster, Twincast, and you have a total of 12 data discs. On the Autobot side, you have Rewind, Eject, Rhinox, Sunder, Steeljaw, Nightstalker. On the side of the Decepticons, you have Laserbeak, Buzzsaw, Ravage, Rumble, Frenzy, and Ratbat. So thank you guys all so much for tuning in. This has been the TFN Geek, and this has been my entry for the Transformers Restart Challenge. I went back and redid my review of Fall of Cybertron Twincast. Asked, do I recommend creating Twincast? I only recommend creating Twincast if you have a love for Blaster, Soundwave, and the Fall of Cybertron on versions of the characters. And to be honest, Twincast and Sound Blaster, they're two Transformers characters who are in the same category as Galvatron. And basically, in the past few years, what Hasbro has done is they've been trying to concentrate and bring focus on a standard group of Transformers characters. And basically, if anyone has been wondering why has Hasbro been ignoring Galvatron in recent years, that's because Hasbro doesn't want to replace Megatron with Galvatron like they did during the Generation 1 line. And unfortunately, Transformers characters who are upgraded versions of pre-existing Transformers characters, Hasbro and also Takara Tomy to a point, they've been focusing more on Transformers characters, basically not taking on new identities or receiving new paint jobs. And so Transformers characters who are upgraded alter egos of other characters, Galvatron, Goldbug, Cyclonus, Scourge, Sound Blaster, Twincast, even Optimus Prime's alter egos. Hasbro will acknowledge Orion Pax on occasion, but that's only because Orion Pax is Optimus Prime before he takes on the Matrix of Leadership. So it's basically like a acknowledgement that Optimus Prime wasn't always the Autobots' hero, but Galvatron and other Transformers characters who are upgraded versions, Bumblebee's upgraded alter ego Goldbug. Hasbro is not going to replace Bumblebee with Goldbug anytime in the near future. So one of the reasons why I'm happy that I decided to make my own custom Fall of Cybertron Twincast is because the chances of both Twincast and also Sound Blaster being given new toys are slim to nil. Although I will acknowledge that at New York Toy Fair back in February, it was accidentally revealed that the War for Cybertron Siege Voyager class Soundwave toy, Hasbro is repainting and retooling it into Sound Blaster, so Sound Blaster appears to be one of the, what I like to call alter ego Transformers characters who is getting some recognition from Hasbro. But as far as Twincast being given the same acknowledgement as Sound Blaster, it's slim to nil at this point. So thank you guys all so much for tuning into the live stream chat. Autocorrect Prime. Eimer, thank you, Ninjabill1000. Nelson, thank you, Transformers Film Stopmo. Ocean, scrolling up the chat, see who else. Logging here, Transformers Fanboy 14, thank you for logging into the live stream chat. And thank you guys all so much for tuning in. This has been the TFN Geek, and this has been my entry for the Transformers Restart Challenge, where I redid my first ever Transformers review of my custom Transformers Fall of Cybertron Voyager class Twincast with his partner Nightstalker. So thank you guys for tuning in. And please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day. Transform and roll out.